Hey Zane, and welcome to the One Pod Life podcast. How you been?
Yeah, good mate. Yeah, excited to have a little chat on the podcast. Been following it for a little while, so
thank you.
Let's get on it.
When I first started doing this, what was it? Almost 2 years ago now. 2 years in June actually. Your name was one of the first I wrote down who I wanted to talk to. So that's how long I've been trying to talk to you.
That's for 2 years as well. Yeah.
I know, mainly my fault for not really getting in touch properly, but we got there in the end, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I want to do is have a quick chat about a little bit about yourself, obviously, because if people don't know who Zane Scotland is, living on the rock for the past 20 years.
I'm happy to bore people then.
We'll do that for a little bit, and then what I really want to talk about is really get your insights from the coaching point of view on what you think it takes to become a professional golfer. So let's start with you first. So yeah, I had a quick look. Obviously, I know quite a bit about you anyway, but what was it about golf that made you forget about football at the age of 11?
Well, I'd like to think that I gave up a promising career for Manchester United, which is probably more a reality in my head.
Yep.
No, I say probably more. It was a reality, not a reality, but it was more something in my head that I probably built up. And I obviously wanted to be a footballer, like most kids at that sort of age. Playing with your mates, and then play for two teams, and that was your journey, right? If you're in sports, you wanted to be a footballer, and then golf came along, and then really quickly just took hold of me. I think just from the individual aspect of it, which now actually I have a slightly different view on, but the individual aspect of like the mental side of it just really, really intrigued me. Everything, the buck stopped at you basically. Because what really always frustrated me about football was that you could put in 110% effort, and then the guy alongside you wouldn't put in 110% effort.
Yep.
And you wouldn't get the result you want, and that just frustrated the hell out of me, really. Because I was, I wouldn't say a perfectionist, but I just like to try and win and try to beat people. I just couldn't ever get my head around why would you not just give it everything?
Yeah.
Why, I don't understand this. Then golf came along, and it was just like, oh, if I put effort in and it works out, that's down to me. And if I put effort in, if it doesn't work out, at least it's still down to me. And if I don't put the effort in, it doesn't work out, then that is down to me. So
yep.
I like that side of it, really. It was, and then, and if I'm honest, I was probably following my dad a little bit. Like my dad was, a big part of my life, and he would come to all the football games. And then when he found golf, he wouldn't come to Saturday games, and then he got the golf bug more, and then he wouldn't come to Sunday games. So then, therefore, I was like, I just want to go hang out with my dad, and then go caddy for him. And I can to this day remember my first ever shot, and I got it airborne. And I think from that moment, I was just gripped by that, which I think we all can level on at a certain point. You just hit that shot, and you go, this is fun.
The dreaded bug got you.
Yeah, and that was it really. And then on top of that, then my dad was like, he had the bug. So that meant we watched David Ledbetter, the short game, the long game, taking it to the course. We watched that religiously we watched those VHS tapes at least once a week.
Yep.
And then, then you'll go to the driving range 3 times a week, and then we'll patch on the carpet. And then, I'd then made a mini hole in my back garden, and would just go out in the back garden and just chip and play this mini 20-yard par 3 that I'd made with a big break in the green, that sort of stuff. I'd flatten down and put a flower pot in the ground to make a cup. That was underneath the tree. And just did that. And then we were just avid, watching golf, PGA Tour. And then every week became about whoever won that week. When you get to go and play golf on a Saturday, then you pretended to be that golfer on a Saturday, whether it be Davis Love, Fred Couples, Ernie Els, Corey Pavin, even Nick Faldo. That's what it became really. And it was just all those little pieces just took me to this game that just is to completely take over my life.
So it spiraled out of control pretty quick. I like it. I love it.
There's other things that you could get into, which would be a much worse, as a 12-year-old kid, and luckily I found golf, and golf took me to brought me some good stuff.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Well, in a very short amount of time, I think just around 4 years, you ended up becoming a scratch golfer at the age of 15, and you're already playing for the English boys team. Did you know then that this was going to be the sport for you and it's going to take you to be successful into where you are today?
Yeah, I probably knew more then than I know now, to be honest. Which is, I was a 14, 15, 16-year-old lad that I've taken to a sport that I would say came pretty easy to me. Just it fit me really well. And it's weird when I look back and I think when I was 14, someone asked me what I was going to do. I was just like, golf. Yep. That was it. There was no doubt in my mind, and whether it be naivety or genius, probably naivety. That was it. And, and I would love to have that certainty about life now. I just knew that was it for me. There was nothing else. I was not interested in school. School was completely irrelevant to me. The only reason, school was a vehicle to get good enough grades to go to an American college, which was the thing that I was told that's the cool thing to do.
Yep. That
was the only reason that I showed up at school, was thinking, if I go to school, I mean, I go to US college, which is a journey you need to go on. And as it was, I didn't even go to my golf accelerated beyond expectation to the point where actually a US college at the time I thought wasn't a great thing to do.
Nope.
In hindsight, if I'd see any young golfers now and they get an opportunity to go to college, I would say just go. But yeah, it just accelerated past that. And that was just, when I look back, I just think, golf, it came pretty quick. But then the other part is, like I said earlier, like I was obsessed. Like, and I'm obsessed by golf now, and I was obsessed by golf then. And if you think that you're into golf and you practice a lot, or whatever, like, there was no way that anyone practiced more than me in those first 5 years of playing golf. I got to scratch, got to +2. Well, I got to scratch at 15, +2 at 16. Got into the Open Championship at 16, which, from starting playing golf to getting the Open Championship, it was like 5 years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't 5 years though. It was like 15 years of just I wasn't interested in anything else other than if I've got to be at school or sleep, it's golf. That's it.
You just put the absolute graft in to get to where you got to.
Yeah, but it's just, and also the luxury of being a kid, so you're allowed to do that. Now.
yeah.
With all due respect, but life gets in the way of golf, of being able to get in the way of being able to go golf, which I think a lot of us can
Tell me about it.
can relate to.
Work and family gets in the way.
Yeah,
move them out, or all be pros. That's what I say.
Absolutely buzzing for the day when my little lad come to golf with me, because we can just go golfing. That is it. At the moment, he's like, yeah, maybe. I just can't wait for it to be like, right, yeah, going golf. Yeah, off we go.
How old is he now?
He's 7. Yeah,
okay, so he's starting to understand it really, really.
Yeah. I haven't pushed him whatsoever. I wasn't pushed at all. It was all off my own back. And then he's shown a little bit of interest. He's into everything, as you probably know.
Yep.
With kids and whatever. But yeah, now I can tell. He's like, okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, which is music to my ears.
Yeah, he's just keeping you on that hook for a little bit longer, isn't he? That's all.
Yeah.
Cool. You mentioned the Open, and I'll be amiss to not talk about it, because from what I can see, and I've done a lot of research, you are still the youngest golfer to qualify for the Open. Is that right?
Yeah, to qualify. I think there's been younger players who have been exempt for whatever reason.
But to actually qualify.
To go through the qualifying series, I believe that I'm the youngest qualifier. Yeah.
Good stuff. So you had a good week. You didn't make the cut, unfortunately, but you did tie 55th, which I think is still an amazing result. But what I want to talk about is just talk me through how you felt at the time, and did you actually understand the achievement that you actually you did there?
Yeah. So I played 2 Opens. So the first Open I played when I was 16, I didn't make the cut. But I mean, from where I was to teeing it up, it was just in hindsight, now I think it's ridiculous. But at the time, being a 16-year-old lad, I'm thinking this is what you're supposed to do, right? So I had a coach at the time who coached tour players, and we spoke about, let's go to Open qualifying. My dad and him and I, this will be fun. And but in my head, I'm just thinking, you go through first stage, you shoot a couple under, you get through, and then if you go to last stage, you shoot 3 or 4 under 2 times in a row, you get in the Open, right? And I'm thinking, well, I can do that. I've do that all the time. And that was the task in my head. That was it. There was no more to it.
Yep.
And then I kind of did that. So like the first stage, you know, I'd had my mate who was caddying for me, who's like 14 years old. I'm 16 years old. We get there. We get to where did we play? Romford. Romford was the first stage, and don't think I had a practice round. Might have done, but I remember getting the yardage book from the pro shop.
Yep.
Which is like, you know, like the little stroke saver with like in colour and whatever. So I gave that to my pal, and then you go to sign in, and then they give you like the special pro yardage book. It's got all the handwritten. It's got all the written numbers on it. So I come back out looking at this thing like, this is the best I've ever seen. Like there's numbers from every hump, little crevice, everything. I remember showing it to my mate as we went to warm up. And I'm like, look at this yardage book I just got. And he's like 14. He looks at it and he went, "Oh, that's rubbish." And I'm thinking, "What do you mean that's rubbish? Like it's a professional yardage chart." And he's like, "Look at it. It's not even in colour." And I was like, what's going on here? And then the rep, the golf ball rep is there, and they give you like free gloves and balls and that. And you know, it's just so far removed from your whole life. You know, using Balata balls, and this guy's giving you like 2,000 Balata balls. He's like, "This is the best thing ever. This is cool." Yeah, and then just kind of cruising around, got through the playoff. Well, I got an alternate spot in the playoff, and then I was supposed to play in the South Eastern Boys Championship at Walton Heath,
Right.
and which was the same time as the qualifier, the final qualifying. And so at this point, I wasn't in the final qualifying; I was a reserve.
Okay.
But it's kind of known that like the reserve spots go right through. So you've got kind of a decent chance of getting in. And my pal who got straight in, and he was old enough to drive up. He was like 23. So he was like, "Oh, we're going to drive to Scotland. Just come up." And I thought, actually, you know what? I'm going to miss the South Eastern Boys. I'm going to go up. I just want to see what it's like to be around the qualifying. So I went up. We're driving up there. He's doing 120 miles per hour, and he's like souped up Astra. We get pulled over by the police. All this drama's kicking off, and we're listening to like a Bob Rotella "Putting Out of Your Mind" cassette.
Right.
That's how long it was, a cassette. Listen to that all the way up. Listen to that like 2 or 3 times. And we go up there, play practice rounds. And as it turns out, I got in the night, 7 o'clock night before. I got the phone call on the course like, "Oh, by the way, Zane, you're in. Sergio Garcia just won the Irish Open. You're taking his spot." Like, yeah, brilliant. Like, nice. Sweet. So I'm in, right? At the course that I've been practicing at, where my friend had been at.
Yep.
There's multiple courses. What are the chances of getting that course? Weirdly enough, the RNA guy who was running that course called me. So I'm thinking he's probably swung it a little bit. So I've got that course that I've been at for 2 days.
Yep. That's
fine. And then then I'm just obviously teeing it up in the qualifying next to another qualifier, and then Robert Allenby. Robert Allenby at the time was like a pretty big time player. I watch him on telly.
Nice.
And then we have quite a big crowd following us and whatever. You know, I'm 16 years old. My dad and his mate have driven up. Another guy's driven up, and the guy's caddying for me. And I'm on the first tee, you know, just teeing it up, thinking I'm pretty nervous. And first time I'm kind of playing in front of people in that manner, with alongside pros. You know, being a kid and whatever, and I skied my first tee shot. Skied off the first. Like, it's embarrassing that skied it. Like, barely reached the fairway. Yeah, bad, isn't it? Played 2 or 3 more holes. Gets out his puff. I'm nervous. Gets like the 4th hole. Robert Allenby comes has a go at me. He's like, "Right, Zane, you keep walking on my through line. You know, you've done it once now. Like, just don't do it again." But he was a bit short about it, and I was thinking. Right. But because if it was now, I'd have been maybe a bit upset or like told to do one or whatever. Yeah. But I was at the time, I was thinking, what's he even talking about? What's a through line? Like, I know what it is now. It's where you walk on the line in case you miss it. And then someone told me, I was like, what? So he's thinking about missing his putt? What an idiot! Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, as you would as a kid.
Yeah.
And then we get to like the 6th hole, and I've got his wedge shot to a par 5. And I'm like, I kind of semi-shank it. I'm nervous still. I kind of semi-shank it. Goes short. It goes right at the green. And at that point, I just thought, well, can't get any worse than this, can it? That's it. And literally, that was like the turning point. Chipped and putted. And that was the turning point. All my inhibitions are gone. I was like, well, that's it. And then I played amazing golf for the next, 30 holes. Using what I listened to the Bob Rotella cassette, I just hold everything. And it just changed. To be honest, it just changed. I was always had a good short game, good putt or whatever. But that cassette, it changed it changed my golfing life really. I then proceeded to be a really good putter for the next. I'm trying to think how many years I've been playing. 25 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or 20 years or whatever it is. But over those 2 days, I told everything, and then the next thing I knew, I was like, I'd qualified for the Open Championship, and it was different in those days. You played Sunday, Monday,
Right. Okay.
and then Tuesday, you're at the venue, you're on the range at the Open, and you're there hitting balls next to Greg Norman and Tiger Woods down the way, and Payne Stewart's there, Darren Clark's there,
Wow.
and the equipment companies are coming up to you saying that, oh, do you want some golf shoes? What clubs can we get you? All this stuff, and you're like, I'm using my dad's set that I borrowed off him. I had a driver that I cut down and had a rattle in it, so it wasn't something. The swing weight had gone and it rattled. So then I had this 3-wood that I swapped with my mate, which had a regular shaft, which I knew if I swung it really slow, it went off like a rocket. And I had my 2 wedges. I'd won at a Junior Open at Nisel's the 2 weeks before, and a putter that I swapped with one of the other lads in the county team. So I've got like a whole bag of spanners basically.
Yep.
Playing the Open Championship, which in today's terms, like, all this custom fit stuff, I was just using, just made do what we had.
Yeah.
Really.
Playing with Phil.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, life had, from that moment, all of a sudden there was companies like, what do you want? And that was like, as a golfer, you know what I mean? To have like the choice, the buffet of all the companies. And so like, what, you can have whatever you want. It's just like, it's mind blowing, isn't it? Like,
no, 100%.
Like everyone loves their equipment, right? And all of a sudden you're allowed to have whatever equipment you want, and someone's going to give it to you. Like, nah, that just doesn't happen, does it? So it was all those sort of things that I remembered from playing that first Open, and then played in the Open Championship, which was great. Which was a cool experience. But it was at Carnoustie, and Carnoustie was just so hard that year.
Yep.
It was painfully hard. I think I was maybe +5 going down the 9th hole in the first round. I'd heard that Garcia had started slowly or started badly. And then you obviously think, in your head, you're thinking, 5 over, Pro Tournament, this is not very good. But we teed off at 4:10. So I'd watched, so I knew there were some bad scores in the morning. Like Vijay Singh shot 83. Marco Mira was the defending champion. He shot like 82. And then one of my pals was walking down the 9th hole, and I said to him, what did Sergio shoot? I knew he was going badly. And he was like, 89. And then that was it. I was like, I'm definitely going to be that.
Yeah.
I'm good. It was just all these cool experiences, getting to meet Payne Stewart, getting to, we met a guy from Nike who worked with Tiger. I got to introduce to Tiger Woods, all these different things now, which actually now come flooding back. At the time, because you're a kid, you're like, yeah, whatever, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like I watch golf and telly, like, Greg Norman, yeah, well done. Like, I watch him every week. This is what you're supposed to do. Whereas now I'm thinking, oh shit, that was quite cool.
Moving on from that, obviously, everyone knows your kind of history, obviously, with the car crash and stuff, which kind of put you out a little bit. But you then went on to have a successful sort of career, winning on the Euro Pro once. You got on the European Tour, and then you also became what I'm writing down as the king of the MENA Tour by winning 11 times. What was it about that time out there in the UAE that really clicked for you?
I mean, I think by that point I'd been a pretty decent player up to that point. So like, I'd had a car crash which kind of kept me out. So I never really got to play full time for the first 4 years of being a professional, which was a shame because I'd kind of, after the Open, I kind of cultivated a decent amateur career, which got me opportunities and starts to go and play on the main tour. It just, I was injured, neck injury, and that really held me back. And so I never really felt like I had a good run at it. When I got my Asian Tour card in the middle of injury somehow, but then I couldn't play because I just couldn't do the long haul travel with injury and that sort of stuff. It was really frustrating few years. And then when I got fit, and then I got my card off of like, I pre-qualified for the French Open, and did really well there. Ended up getting into like later groups and played with Graham Storm. Graham Storm went out to win it. So, I played with the winner of the French Open. I didn't quite finish it off. And then I got into the Deutsche Bank, and I led the Deutsche Bank, and then Andres Romero shot like 10 on Saturday and passed me. But then I played with him on the Sunday in the last group, and again we're shaking hands with a winner 2 weeks in a row on the European Tour, off the back of not having a card basically, and ended up securing a card off like 6 starts. So I kind of gotten fit, and then I've gone like bang, like I got off of 6 starts, I secured a tour card, which was cool. And then I fractured my wrist in like 2009, and then took like a year out, came back too early, didn't keep my card on the medical, kind of dropped back a little bit, and then kind of found it difficult to get back there really after like not recovering properly, you know. And then I changed coach, you know, kind of drifted apart with my coach via like management issue and a misunderstanding contractually. And then in the midst of that, my manager at IMG had moved to another company. I thought I was doing the right thing by staying with IMG. In hindsight, I should have just followed my manager to the company he had went to. You know, I thought I was doing the right thing by honouring the contract. But as I found out later on down the line, it's like you sign with the person, don't sign with the company. Okay. You know, because you can sign with a great company, but if you have a shit manager, then you're going to in a road to nowhere. You want someone who's on your side. But I didn't know that. You know, it's all things you learn. And then I kind of I started to make my way back. You know, I got fit again. And then this MENA tour came up, and I lived in the Middle East for a little bit, for about a year or so. Okay. With a pal of mine, Jeremy, on an off chance of, I was supposed to stay with him for 2 weeks, ended up getting to Dubai, and like most people, Dubai is the best place ever, and ended up moving in with him, which is great. And then the MENA tour kind of started, and I think I'd been there, knew some of the courses. I really enjoy playing golf in the heat, and I had pretty good experience. Like I'd kind of come from the tour, so like all of a sudden when you get to play against players that are really good, if you drop down any sort of level, like you just feel confident. And I was, you know, at the time I was a decent player, so like things would go my way. You know, I'd play my game and then you'd win, which is always, whenever I've had good patches in my golfing experience when I've been fit, it's like I'm just out there having fun playing, and good things just seem to happen. And then off the back of that, you snowball, right? So like all of a sudden the whole thing's a bit bigger, doesn't it? Things go your way, you don't stress out so much. And and then off the back of, you know, you win once or twice, and then you just think, well, I'm just going to keep doing that. And you work out the formula for whatever that is, and you just ride that until it stops basically. And it just, that was my kind of run with it. You know, you just kind of buy into your own confidence, which is, those times don't come along very often in golf, but when they do, you just got to enjoy them while you can.
Stay on that.
Because it's not always like that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, let's put your coaching head on now. Forget about the playing career. Let's put the coaching head on. Right. So, all that experience you've had from doing all that, you've on the MENA tour, I guess this is kind of, I think I listened to a podcast quite a few times with you on it, and obviously you started kind of coaching some players when you was on the MENA tour, because they kept asking you questions, and I guess that's where the academy kind of was born from. But not many coaches can say obviously they've been there and done it, but obviously you can. So what made you wanting to start the academy really?
Well, I was kind of playing, and then I had a back injury. I was playing a little bit, but it was kind of like, it was becoming quite difficult. But I became interested in the golf swing. So I think in my troubles, when I'd lost my card, I'd kind of gone to a coach who was like a Morad coach, a guy, you know, who had followed the Mac O'Grady kind of teachings. And off the back of that, got invited to a couple of the Mac O'Grady golf schools, which completely changed my life. It kind of gave me a bit of a framework to look at the golf swing from a different point of view and have a bit of a baseline to work from. Whereas before, it'd always been guesswork. It wasn't a very good thing from a playing point of view to go down that route. In hindsight, I should have just gone to that coach and go, you know, I don't care how it works, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. But, you know, we all think as golfers, we think, oh, well, I'm smart, I can work this out. And a detriment of like performing. And so I was then always filming my golf swing and so forth. And then one of the players, young lad Todd Clements, he was an amateur at the time, he was like, out on the MENA tour, and we would do like 7 or 8 week stints out there.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh, can you take a look at my swing? We was on the range at the Earls Cup one day. Can you look at my swing?" I was like, yeah, fine. That's no problem. What do you think? And I told him what I thought.
Yep.
And then he played quite well. He was a good player anyway, don't get me wrong. Yeah. He was a fantastic player, but he was maybe ranked like number 1,400 in the world or something like that on the WAGA, on the World Amateur Rankings. Had a bit of direction, added his talent in, and off he went, right? And he had like a really good run of like 2 or 3 tournaments, and he just went top 10 in pro events. So he was an amateur committing to playing professional events, which was great. Yep. And then another pal of mine, Josh White, was a super talented golfer. He'd have some success, and then he said, "Oh, yeah, help me out a little bit." So I had a look at his swing, and he was like, again, like, get another really talented player who could already play, but give him a bit of direction.
Yep. And
then he played pretty well. So off the back of, I was thinking I'll probably have an academy like when I'm mid-late 40s, not thinking about mid-30s, mid-30s, and then and then we think we came home, and then we were just playing up at Wizzy one day. Happened to be just, the 3 of us out there, and then in the space of 9 holes, unbeknownst to each other, they both said to me, it was like end of the year, unbeknownst to each other, they said, "I was saying, would you think about coaching me like properly, like full time?" And I was thinking like, all right, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, because they'd already had some success, and it was born out of that really. Those 2 guys, put a bit of faith in me. They were already both really freaking good.
Yep.
And then off the back of that, Todd, he just went whoosh. Like he just went from like 1,400 in the world to 500, to inside the top 250, inside the top 50, and then inside 2 years, 18 months, he got to like world number 8.
Yeah.
So then naturally, his mates and people around him are going like, "Oh, can I have a bit of what he's got?"
Yep.
And I'm thinking, well, by the way, he's really good. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
There's no magic fairy dust here.
No, definitely.
And then, then like Taylor Carter, who's like Todd's best mate, and then a bunch of others. And then also I was kind of playing, so I'm out on the MENA tour, so you're there every week. So, there's someone else coming out, "Oh, can you have a look at my game? Can you have a look at my game?" And then off the back of that, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you've got 8, 10, 12 players off of really not really trying to become a coach, just helping people out really. Yeah, so just it kind of born out of that, I suppose. And I like to think that I've done things that have gone right, I've done things that have gone wrong. And so and then my view was always like, look, this is what I think you should do. This path, I tried this path took me down that way. This path took me down this way.
Yep.
It's your choice, you choose, and try to look at it from a player's point of view, I suppose. I tried to put that element onto it, because a lot of coaches, there's a lot of fantastic coaches who know all the data, know all that side of it, but they don't necessarily know and they'll give you something to work on, right? And like, this is the right thing to do. You got to press on and go, but can I do that when the wind's out the left and I'm feeling nervous? That's a little bit which you just got to know that little bit,
But I think that's where your obviously your unique stance comes into it, because you've like I said, you've been there and done it, and you understand the game. Not saying that any coaches don't understand the game, but I think if you've been at that level and played, and then try and teach, like you said, talented golfers, it's a lot easier for them to understand it, and I guess also trust what you're telling them to do as well. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I'm not going to give something to anybody that I haven't tried it myself, or know it works or doesn't work. So whereas so I'm happy to say some coaches, just technically, they just know so much stuff. They know all the data and the ground reaction forces, and all that 3D stuff, which is wicked cool, and and it's revolutionising golf, that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm happy to if I have a player to tell you what, let's go and see that person. So like Steve Furlonger, he knows his ground reaction forces. That's what he does day in, day out, right? Let's get a player let's just go see him, because I was a product of the time when you have one coach and you weren't allowed to talk to anybody else. And life changed now. People are more comfortable having teams, and you have specialists in certain areas. And now it's we want you to hit it further or move a bit differently. Let's just go and see that guy. That's what he does all day long. He's got machines, and go and get that and then bring it back. And then my part is is to take all that stuff, but how can you
how can you use it? I mean, I would say if I had to look at graphs all day long, that's not for me. But that's not to say that I don't think that's really important, and that's not super helpful, and it's not changing people's games. But the bit that I would say I'm good at is going like, all that stuff, take all that, just do that, and all that come together.
No, I like it.
And give me something I can understand what you can do. Like when I first started coaching, I thought, I better go, and I'm not a PGA professional, right? So I thought I better go and get some sort of qualification, something,
Yeah.
I'm not an academic at all. And so I went on Foresight, did this peak performance accreditation. So you go down, and the morning is like all have an educator and all the graphs up and all the classroom stuff. And the afternoon's practical. So in the morning, we're sitting in this room with like 30, 40 these golfing minds, and they're these senior pros, so senior coaches that they've done it all their life. I'm just starting out coaching, and they're going, oh, the data that I've got shows this, and players on my 3D system are showing this, and this is what I see in my graph. And I'm sitting there going like, miles away, like I've got so much to learn here. Maybe this isn't for me. And then in the afternoon we went out, and you had groups of 4. One of you hits balls, and then the other 3 give a lesson basically. And you use some of the technology, but you give a lesson. And everyone had their groups, and you had half an hour, 20 minutes, half hour, say. So this guy gets up, and in our group we got this guy who's like the main educator geezer, who's was questioning the educator in the morning and had all the data and has all the equipment, and he took the iPad, and he's like, right. And he's like took over the session, and he's got this guy on the mat who's obviously a good player, not a coach, but he's like hitting drivers right, and this geezer's just carving it way right. And he's going to him, you got to get your pressure on the outside of your left foot earlier on the downswing, so you got to get your left kneecap like around here and that sort of stuff. He's looking at it going like, what? This geezer's getting worse. Like, he's just hitting it further right. Now the ball's going off the range. And it's getting awkward now because the geezer, he's gotten worse at golf in like 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then comes towards the end of it, and they're starting to wrap up now. And I'm thinking, this is awkward. So I said, oh guys, and I've been quiet because I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm about my reach here. And I said to the guys, do you mind if I say something? And they were like, yeah, of course you can. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, should we do what you do, right? Should we ask him what shot he's trying to hit? And they're like, oh yeah. Yeah, what shot are you trying to hit? And I'm thinking, what? Okay. And the guy's like, I just want to hit a fade. I'm like, right, okay. Okay, well, do you want to aim left and hit a fade, or do you want to aim straight and hit a fade? And he went, I just want to aim straight and hit a fade. I'm like, okay, just put the ball 2 inches further forward, yeah? Then you turn your chest onto it. And he just hits this like whoosh, like boom, like lovely, like little like burner fade down there.
Yep.
And he looks at me like I've just like found water. And I was like, just do it again, see if it works. And he goes, boom, he just rips it. Lovely little left to right down there, out the middle. And he's like, oh, that's brilliant, that. But in my head, I'm thinking like, that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And that was the point. That was like a massive confidence boost to me in my coaching work. I appreciate these guys know their stuff, but they don't know that bit. They don't know, because this guy's getting nervous. He's got people watching him.
Yep.
When you're nervous and people are watching you, there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. Getting the pressure in the outside of your left foot and your little toe on the downswing in transition under pressure when you got to produce is not a thought you can have.
No.
But like ball up, turn onto it is something you can do. So it's like, okay, yeah, there's something in this. You know,
almost.
How can you take all that data and make it doable?
Is it? I heard a phrase the other day: gamification. I guess that's kind of that type of level, isn't it? So taking, like I said, taking that data and turning. Yeah, that's a new word for you. You can use that one.
Yeah. Did you see? I retweeted. There was about Butch Harmon. When Butch Harmon is asked what his method of coaching is, because I get a question all the time. What's your method? Like everyone wants to say, are you stack and tilt? Are you Morad? Are you ace? Everyone wants to put you in this box, right? Mm-hmm. And they said like, so it said that Butch Harmon's response to, you know, what method you're teaching. He says, and his quote is, I watch people hit balls. I tell them something, then they hit it better. Like, yeah, that's a good method, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good method. I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
when a golfer first comes to you and says, "Oh, Zane, I want to work with you," what is the first question you ask them and why?
Are we talking about like a good golfer or just like
So anyone that comes into the academy at a decent level, so say a Todd Clements level when he first started working with you, what sort of questions do you ask them and why?
To be honest, like I would say that I wouldn't like really look to drive a player. Like I guess it's kind of got to a point now where it's like, you know, I can help people out, but it takes time to build up like a relationship.
Yep.
So like I tend not to go like on the first day like need to decide like is this someone I want to coach or not.
Yeah.
I would like so most of the time I would just, you know, you just ask them like what do you want out of this? And then I tend to get straight into like them hitting balls in the first one. So what and like most things like what shot are you trying to hit?
Yep.
And that's pretty much where I start, because sometimes it can take like 2 or 3 sessions to find out do you gel or not gel, or something like that. And you do chat to, you do ask them questions like, you know, what are you trying to do, where have you come from, that sort of stuff. But I tend to just get straight into the golf part of it,
okay, and
then let the rest of it like pan out. Really, yeah. Like, you know, what shot are you trying to? If someone coming from long game, it's like what shot are you trying to hit? Then they'll either tell, and then I would say, how are you trying to do that? And you can normally find out pretty quick whether they know what they're talking about and whether they've even thought about it. The amount of players you say, what shot are you trying to hit? And they're like, and you're thinking, you're a good player, you don't know what shot you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And then if I do say, I want to hit a fade or I want to hit a draw, then you say, and then the next thing is like, and I guess it's my test to find out how much they actually know. And I say, okay, how do you do that? And then you can normally decipher a good player and a good hitter to a bad hitter, because a good hitter will tell you how they do it, and the bad hitter will be like, I don't really know, I just do, which is okay, right? But then that doesn't fit into the next bit. It's like there's no consistency, because they know they want to hit a draw, but they'll just change how they do it, you know, month to month, week to week, day to day. Whereas a good like draw of the ball will say whether it's right geometry and like technically and scientifically, they'll say, I'll do this and this, and when I do that, it draws.
Yep.
And sometimes like that's not actually what you're doing, but then they repeat the shot. So you're like, okay, that's
just a
genius in genius in what they do or whatever. Yeah. So and that's not. I guess that's my gauge of knowing like where someone's at. Like some of the older players, I gave a lesson to a guy called Phil Golden, who's like a senior tour player. Like Phil's been around forever. And you say, how do you do this? And he goes, what? And he just knows, I do it every time. I do this and this and this. And you're like, you know, that's why he's played golf forever. And you get a youngster coming through the door who's like playing a bit of Euro Pro or trying to way up, and they're like, you know, all the bravado comes in, and you ask them a simple question and they can't answer it. Then you go, okay, well, that's what you got to give to that player.
Yeah. I like it. Okay. So during your times, I guess obviously you've seen the whole manner of players coming through. When you're presenting with Sky Sports, you see obviously the players at the highest level. So what traits have you observed that are frequent within players that actually make it to the highest level?
I mean, the main traits these days is that long game wise, everyone's just so much better. They're just like, from a technical point of view, there's no bad drivers on the tour. You can't be a bad driver and keep your tour card. I would say that's probably that's the main difference between like a lower tour player and a main tour player. If you really had to dumb it or had to give something, you would say the main tour players are better with the driver. Mm-hmm. They're better off the tee. They hit driver more often, and they're better and they're more accurate with it. I would say that's the main. I say that's the main part, and then the next part is, and then the next part is just like they've got their shit together. Like they're just like, you see a lot of youngish sort of players who are good players, but they may be out of touch with how good they've got to be. Yep. And there's a small piece of, not in the you got to have confidence, but you want your confidence to be in the fact of like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm confident I'm going to get there.
Yep.
I'm willing to suck it up and do what I need to do to get there. Whereas some players, you'll see like, there's like a bravado confidence, which is basically made up of BS. It's like, if I act like I'm a tour player, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And the players that we were chatting about it earlier with Kit Alexander, who does a lot of Europro stuff, and we were talking about it, and like, you know what? It's just so impressive when someone at the Europro level wins a tournament or does well, or gets some money in from sponsors or from wherever, and reinvests properly in themselves. And a lot of the time, that might be to go and, you know what, go and get a caddy. And it makes no sense, because it might mean they're staying at a loss for the year.
Yep.
But at this level, they're going to invest in the caddy because that's what's going to make them better, rather than win a tournament and then take your missus to Ibiza. Instead, they want to win a tournament and they don't change the way they live at all, and they go, I'm going to get a caddy now.
Yep.
And that's going to take me on. And that's not an easy thing to do for a youngster. You know, I'm not as clued up as what it is in the women's game, because in the women's game, they seem to really respect having caddies and doing that side of it. And that's really different. But definitely with the lads, it's not quite the same. Like the few women that I've coached, they're happy to like, it's a complete generalization, but they kind of get it a bit more. They're happy to invest in themselves.
Yep.
And they see that. I don't know if it's an ego thing.
Well, I was just about to say, do you think it is the fact that they're just detaching from the ego, and then, like you said, just reinvest themselves back into,
which again is so difficult because like it or not, ego. It's a difficult conversation, because you need the ego to be good.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna, like, you want someone to have an ego, you know what I mean? But I guess their talent and their ability has got to match their ego. Because what the worst thing is when someone's like not that good, but they've got a huge ego. That doesn't work. Like that's a recipe for disaster. But when you've got someone who's good, but then they've kind of got this ego that kind of matches it, doesn't go beyond it, then you see some good stuff. There's no perfect recipe other than the game. Everyone's so good now, right?
Yep.
I think you've got the players that are willing to reinvest in themselves early on normally have a better chance of making it than the ones that don't have that. Like the amount of I've come across players who they get given golf balls, because they're a good amateur, they got given golf balls by a certain company, and then for whatever reason they play a development tour level for a year or two. For whatever reason, that company then says, we're not going to support your golf balls next year. You got to buy them. And then they go, oh, it's okay, because I've spoken to this other company, they're going to give me golf balls. And I'm just like there, like pulling my hair out, like, what? Like, see that 700 quid, go and buy yourself the golf ball that you've always been using, because you know that. You're just using a new golf ball that you never tried before because someone's giving it to you. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's mind-blowing. Like there's some golfers that come along, right? They've missed like 3 cuts, yeah. They've missed 3 cuts on let's say on the Europro or something like that, yeah. And Europro costs you like 700 quid a week to go and play on, to be conservative, right? And then like, well, we need to put some work in. Kind of, listen, I can't afford it. You know, it's expensive, isn't it? So, right, it's 100 quid, right? Take the week off, come have a lesson, go and get better, and then go back and be ready for the next 2 or 3 random events.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Right. I'm thinking, okay, what you could do, you can go and spend another 700 quid, miss another cut. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
But that mentality of like, they'll chuck it at that because of status, and it's like, I was going to be on television and I can tell people, I was supposed to, like, forget all that. Like, if you're not good enough, that's cool. Just go and work out how to be good enough.
Yeah.
Go and do it in the background. But I guess, I don't know, we're in this, you know, everyone's got to keep up with appearances. And, you know what, sometimes the best thing you can do is like, you know what, I'm nowhere near this. I'm nowhere near it. But just got to go and work out how to do my thing and go and be good, sort of thing, you know. And I never had an issue with that. I never had an issue with like paying money for coaching and going and getting like, going meeting certain people or spending on that sort of stuff. I'm still, that's going to pay me back. And it did. I went to Dave Pelt school Spent like 700 quid to go and do like a half day or a day over an island, floated through the islands, paid the guy 700 quid. It was him and I.
Yep.
Do that. I didn't have loads of money or whatever. But then 3 weeks later, had a wedge shot in a playoff in a MENA tour event, and put it to 2 feet and tapped in and won the tournament. It paid me back. Luckily, it paid back. But you know, so many people wouldn't go and spend a grand on getting a short game lesson. I thought that was what we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's frustrating a lot of the time. If I'm really honest with you, really frustrating.
I can hear it in your voice as well. It's great. I love it. It's perfect. Next question is, we're cautious of time as well. So, when you were learning the game, what was the best bit of advice you were given and that you still stick by today? And then we'll get into some quick fire questions.
The best bit of advice. I've had loads of really amazing pieces of advice. The best piece of advice that I've ever had, and I would ever give to anybody, just go and find people that are better than you and go and play with them. Like, don't be scared. Like, that was, my dad always pushed me. Like, there was a bunch of scratch golfers at our golf club, county golfers, when I was a kid, and he always say, and they'll be going out, and they'll go and play the top 8 at our course, which was the way it was worked. And, you know, I was shy. And I'd go and ask them for a game, and I'd hate it. And I'll go over there. And in golf, everyone's quite lucky. Like, everyone's quite, you say, can I join you? They'd always say yes. I don't know if I was lucky, but I think people quite empathetic in golf, and that is literally the best thing you can do. Like, you know, I'd put playing with better players over coaching, equipment, anything, because you go and play with better players, you just learn and you just work out a way of not being the shittest in the group, basically, and one day you become better. Playing with better players. I'm
glad you said that, because I've set myself a goal this year of playing 70% of my rounds with professional golfers. And
there you go.
And this week I'm going off to the Belfry to play the pros and the PGA with 3 pros. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It's the best thing. It get a bit uncomfortable, and you'll pick up something and they'll do something. It's good fun. It's great to watch other good players, isn't it?
No, I enjoy it.
I think we'll have our own game. It's great to see other people get good shots and stuff. So that sounds pretty sweet. That
I'll probably get too annoyed and ask too many questions, but we'll find out. Now, One Pod Life is brought to you in partnership with Energy Golf, the leading golf development platform. They are committed to providing a service that allows you to reach your maximum potential by improving your mindset, creating physical longevity, and funding your golf career. What they've done is take professional tour team experience and brought it to you through their platform so you can have your very own tour team in your pocket. Energy Golf offers the ability to learn from leading professionals in the fields of fitness, nutrition, breathing, caddying, psychology, business, as well as proven tour winners and many more. There are also courses based around the mental aspects of golf, such as mental toughness, emotional control, and self-esteem. Visit energy.com to learn more, and to claim your exclusive 1-month free trial, simply send an email with the subject OnePodLife to info@energy.com and enjoy. Now let's get back to the podcast. Right, let's just quickly do some quick fire questions. I've got one more question and then I'll let you go. So, quick fire question. Best golfer of all time?
Tiger.
Of course. Best golf course in the world you've played?
Sawgrass.
Okay, nice. Best golfer you've ever played with?
Nick Fowler.
Okay, cool. In your eyes, what's the best major?
The Open.
Of course it is. You got to say that one. You can't say any others. And quick last question is, quick fire question is, who would be in your dream 4-ball? I'm guessing Tiger's one of them.
Yeah, the goat man. Yeah, the big cat, Tiger. Tiger, and then my dad, just because like he pays off of like I think he's maybe single figures now, but that is like a big grudge match. My dad knows, because if he ever beats me, just hand it to me, so I know that I'll play really good golf with my dad.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure I'll be forgetting somebody. But you know what? Actually, one of my pals I grew up with, like with James Heath. Again, we just like we play golf for 25 years. He still impresses me every time I play golf with him. But I still have a really warm feeling when I take money off him. So
yes.
that would be my 4-ball.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Finally, there's a 2-part thing really. one thing that you've said, it's always stuck with me for quite a while actually, and I use it quite a bit, is train, don't practice. And I totally believe that you can achieve whatever you want if you put the training, if you train properly. And I just wanted to know, where did that saying come from? Where was it born from?
I think I saw it somewhere, and it really resonated, especially when I started the academy and we started the Monday Club.
Yep.
Kind of vibe doing that. And I'd had success with it when I decided to start training. So I set out what I'm going to practice, what I'm going to train, what I'm going to train, what I'm trying to do. So I think in golf and in professional golf, especially with up and coming players, the easiest thing in the world is someone practicing hard. Like if a player ever comes in and goes, "Oh, I practice really hard," I'm literally like bothered. Like, that means absolutely BS at this level. We can all practice like that. That is the easiest part of professional golf. What's not so easy is to set yourself out a goal and stick to it. If you like it or don't like it, and you then create a process, because we can all go and I don't know if you find what you're like with practice. I'll find something social. I know you do like to work on your game, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I could, you know what, you put a mountain full of balls in front of me. I could stand and hit those all day, no problems. It means nothing. But put 30 balls in front of me and say, "This is your task. You've got to hit 10 fades into this gap, 10 draws into that gap, and 10 straights with 3 different clubs." And you're not allowed to hit the same shot back to back. Now that's engaging, and you're going to get more out of that 30 shots. So I'm going to get out of 200 balls a drag and hit. Mm-hmm. So train day and practice, that's where that kind of came from, really. It was just like, what you're trying to do. And I just, when someone says they work hard in professional golfers like that, it's just like,
everyone
whatever, like that. That is honestly the easiest part of professional golf. Working hard. It is very, very hard. Yeah.
Like I said, it resonated with you. It resonated with me when I read it. I think I did read it from your Monday Club stuff. And I struggle with the word practice, because that to me doesn't mean anything. What are you practicing for? Yeah. So yeah.
And I think as you get a bit older, you just realise that you have it right. Like you've got to be more organised with your time.
Yep.
Like, I think a lot of young golfers, they have the luxury and the pitfall of time, so they don't organise it. When it gets more towards our age,
yep,
you haven't got all that time now, have you? So you got to get more out of it.
Stuff. Okay, last question, and I'll leave you alone. What is the best bit of advice you can give to any amateur golfer that is looking to become a professional golfer, i.e., me?
What's the best bit of advice? Well, we've had like the play a better players part.
Yep.
I would say, you know what, just if you become a really good driver of the ball, this is quite technical, I suppose. If you become a really good driver of the ball, and then learn how to hole out well, you'll do all right. You'll pick up checks.
Yeah. And
then the rest, and then after that, it's that you've either got a talent or you haven't got a talent.
Well, I've got one of those all down already. I can do the putting. I just can't do the driving, but I'm working on it, so it's all good.
If you can't drive the ball, you won't make money. It becomes very difficult. Very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Zane, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Like I said, one of the first names I wanted to get on here and have a chat about what it takes to actually be a professional golfer. So thank you for your time. And yeah, hope the academy keeps growing well, and see you on Sky Sports again soon.
Yeah, thanks, man. Enjoyed being on, and hopefully there's some more interesting guests than myself in the future.
Well, we'll see. Cheers, mate. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. Really thankful to Zane for coming on. Like I said, he was one of the first people I really wanted to talk to get his advice from both player and coach perspective on what it takes to become a professional golfer. Thank you for listening. If you really liked this episode, please do share it with your friends by giving it a share on Instagram. Head over to whatever platform you're listening on and leave me a review. It really helps me out to understand what you guys are really looking for from these podcasts. And don't forget to head over to Instagram and follow me at One Putt Life. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back with another episode soon.